Hello, this is Malazan Maniacs, the very first episode, and I don't know what to do for an introduction for this, so I think it'd be fun if we all went around and everyone had their own proposal for what the intro should be for this show. Anyone have any ideas?
Dance break. They can't
We
see
say
it.
dance break.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Shelby, do you have any ideas?
We could all talk about what happened during our week.
Yeah, we do
Every episode.
Born in a Two Truths and a Lie.
And then when we're done, we say, now we can start the episode.
Yeah. We do 45 minutes of Two Truths and a Lie.
Yeah,
And
the
then
show is good, but
episode.
you got to skip past the 45 minutes at the beginning.
Yeah, they're leaving lore on the table. They all have the same ones every time. I also don't know what we should do for the music. Does anyone have like
Oh, that's right.
Don't
Like a little music-
go chasing waterfalls. I think everybody brings the song that they've been listening to the most during the week, and that
So-
could be our
So that
intro.
is copyright.
yeah, copyright. We can't use anything.
Oh, we have to do an original piece,
Well, I was thinking like a crazy guitar sting or something that's like
like a royalty free.
or
Because
I don't know.
maybe, we.
Oh.
My name is. What we should say our names.
Oh,
Sarah?
wait.
Yeah, we'll go introduce
Yeah.
ourselves.
Before we do that, I have chime bells. We could
Oh, that
use
could be like a
chimes.
fantasy.
Oh, I like the chimes actually.
That could
yeah.
be cool.
Do you have a
That'd be cool.
glockenspiel?
I have a
Good
lot
question.
of glockenspiels.
So
yes.
it's the
I
chime
have
bell,
3.
and
With
then
the
it's like the
glockenspiel.
marimba ringtone from the iPhone.
Yeah.
That almost rhymed.
Or like the little chime that and it's like dun, 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 on the glockenspiel.
Yes.
That could be
Yeah,
nice.
I
that's
think
the
airport
NBC
vibes.
sounds.
That's
The
the
NBC.
NBC.
Dun,
That's-
dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
ABC
dun. That's the
Family.
NBC.
You're kidding.
No.
Malazan Maniacs
I've
brought to you by
never
ABC Family.
heard that in my life. That's crazy.
So this is Malazan Maniacs, the very first episode. My name is Danylo, and I'm joined here by 3 people who are very important to me and who I love very much.
Oh,
that's
And we're
nice.
going to be reading some crazy fantasy books. I'll talk a little bit more about myself later, but why don't we go around and everyone can introduce themselves super quick. Should we start with you, Mac?
Sure. My name is Mac. I have read some of the Malazan books, and you've probably, I would imagine this first episode, heard me and Danylo talk about several other fantasy books on a separate show, Hardcover Hooligans. So if you're
we
listening
are
to
the
that,
2 hardcover hooligans.
yes, if you're listening to that and you're coming over here, thank you. If you haven't listened to that and you just found this, you should listen to that too.
Yeah, we read other stuff.
Yes.
Not written by Steven Erickson and Ian C. Esselmont. But we're joined here by 2 new people.
Whoa. I'm Sarah. I was on a couple episodes of Hardcover Hooligans. A treat. The Canticle for Leibowitz ones. So probably really highly rated.
The Catholic episodes would be
Yeah.
our Catholic arc.
I have not read any of the Malazan books, and I've read very little fantasy. So this will be interesting. It'll be fun.
What is your relationship to us here, the people?
Oh, that's true. That's a good question. So McIntyre, we're married,
Whoa.
and
Yeah.
Danilo is my close personal friend, as well as the woman sitting next to me.
No, that's me.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'll introduce myself next. My name is Shelby. I've never been on a podcast before, so this is scary, but exciting. I've also never read a book before, so this is
Well, you just learned how to
She's
read.
illiterate,
Yes.
folks.
She learned how to read for this
they're
podcast.
bringing me in for the pity part.
Yeah, it's Cat in the Hat, and then we're going right in the Gardens of the Moon.
I have a very interesting relationship with books. I tend to read nonfiction business-based tax books for
Sure.
fun. I just bought a book on sales tax, no joke, this last week.
Oh,
And I
boy.
could tell you a lot about Nexus if you have any questions on that. But I, within the last year, got into some of the, I think, entry-level romantasy books that are very popular that I know you guys have also covered on Hardcover Hooligans and have very strong
So we've
opinions
covered
about.
them, yeah.
And that is my fantasy experience,
That's
really.
exciting.
So I think I'm very excited to enter this new world where I know there's pretty high stakes and names that I'm going to mispronounce. So Looking forward to that.
And so Shelby is my
Oh.
life partner.
Yeah, and I'm Danylo's life partner.
We're not married, but we're pretty close.
We're
We're,
judgmental.
we're domestic
Domestically
partners
married.
We'll
registered
keep
with
you
the city.
posted.
So,
Yeah.
and so basically, why we're doing this is because Mac and I thought it'd be funny to get our significant others to read Malazan Book of the Fallen.
Yeah, because you may have been wondering, there are fans of the Hardcover Hooligan show, why we've never talked about them, and we just allude to them.
Yes.
This has been a plan for a very long time.
Yes. We'll start with the pronunciation.
Mm.
So I say Malazan because it's a adjective. The noun is Malaz or Malaz because it's an island in the world. Some people say Malazan. That's fine. I think there aren't 100% canonical pronunciations, but we're going to try to do our best to do like what the fans generally agree on is the pronunciation. I say Malazan. I think Steven Erickson says Malazan,
Whoa.
which
I
sounds
never
too much
would've
like
gotten there.
lozenge, and so I don't say it.
Malazan.
Malazan.
My lord. Malazan.
You're coughing? Malazenge. Also, we want this podcast to be, in addition to just fun friends talking about a very good book series, is, an entertaining read-along resource if you're reading the series for the first time, or if, you want to read the series and you feel intimidated by it, which is very valid.
Well, Danylo, you are intimately familiar
Oh, I
with
should.
these books.
Yes, I should also say. So I have read the 10 books in the Malazan Book of the Fallen completely. And so that's what we're going to read on this podcast. We will also read the Ian C. Esselmont books, which are prequels, sequels, and
Happening at the same time,
concurrent equals.
Yeah.
Concur equals.
Wow,
that's
that's
a
a
good
new
word.
word.
Concur equals.
Spanish, I think.
Yeah.
I've read 4.5.
Oh,
of
yes.
these
You've read
books.
4.5. The 4.5 of Book of the Fallen.
Yes, and none of the ancillary material. Not because I didn't like it, but it was just one of those things. I don't want to spoil the premise of the 5th book, but if you know, you know, and it's a tough ask coming from the 4th book.
Yep.
And it was too tough for me at the time, so I took a break and just never. When I did return to it, the 5th book is structured in such a way where you don't really need to know anything that was going on, but I knew going into the 6th book, I would have been hopelessly lost because I forgot everything. So I was like, oh, I'm going to restart it. And then we were talking about just doing this. So I was like, I will just wait.
Yeah, a third of the way through Midnight Tides is probably the worst place to take a long break from this book series. I will post our reading order on our podcast website. So in case anyone's, interested in that, when we're reading the Esselmont books. And I think we'll get to the end of the series and then see where we're all at, and then maybe read some of the other prequel, sequel stuff that Steven Erickson wrote. But the main thrust of the episode will be the 10 books of Malazan Book of the Fallen, and they are very long. So you might be wondering, what are the Malazan books? You guys have heard us talk about them. What is your impression of what these books are?
Well, I know that they're fantasy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they are big.
Yep.
I've seen the physical copies,
Mhm.
so I know they're thick.
Mm-hmm. Big and thick.
Big and thick. I've
You know the
seen-
content of them, so you know they're veiny.
I've seen the cover art,
Uh-huh.
so that's cool.
That is pretty cool.
I couldn't tell you much about it, but they're purple,
Good.
I think, and
All right.
Ooh.
Purple. One is purple.
I think
One
one
is
is
purple.
one is purple, and okay. Here's what I know. I know there's fantasy characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantasy characters and fantasy book.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you know about the Dubliners? Well, I know there's Irish characters.
They're in Dublin, I think.
All this to say, I don't know much. I feel like I'm
That's
going
good.
in
That's
pretty
good.
blind.
That's awesome. That's the place to be.
And I do wonder, so some of what the content of these books runs counter to what is in a lot of fantasy books, and people find entertainment from that. And a thing I'm very curious about is if either of you will find any of that stuff entertaining.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the knowledge of what bog standard fantasy books
Oh,
do.
sure. So it's like if I don't have the base knowledge of what a fantasy book is, for it to be anti-fantasy maybe won't land.
I
Question
am
mark.
curious
Mhm. Yeah.
because that is one of the pitches of this is it's like an anti-fantasy.
But I
series.
feel like-
fascinating.
I feel like we both have read some of the same.
We've read Fourth Wing and
Well, actually, I have not read Fourth
I've
Wing.
read Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Mac has read Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
And Akatar. I've read that series and Glass.
Did you
of
read the whole
Throne.
thing?
Throne of Glass.
I read Throne of Glass.
Oh, I
See?
actually think you'd be fine then.
So I
You
think
read the whole thing of both?
I read the whole that was my like entry level back. Here you go.
Gotcha.
Here's your fantasy world. But it's more like I don't know how much romance is in these books, and I feel like it's a lot more focused. Those ones specifically on the will they won't they sort of relationship, and then the fantasy is a little bit there in the background. Where I
Sure.
think this is going to be more fantasy forward. But I will tell you, they mentioned mate at one point, and like they just kind of took for granted, like what a mate is.
in the Akatar series.
In the
you're saying.
Akatar
I think we
series,
actually
and
talked about that.
I had no clue what a mate
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't realize it was.
Because you
a-
weren't
that's
familiar with the trope.
interesting.
Because it's
Yeah.
capital M.
yeah,
isn't it?
and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that sounds nice. So I'm curious to know if there's going to be moments like that in this series where they're like, and then they did this. And you're
Well,
like,
it's not
oh.
like it's not a parody.
Mm.
I will say.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
Well,
are just
yeah.
subversed tropes.
Well, and I feel like
Especially in the first one.
sometimes
Especially in the first one.
sometimes the way things like that are written, it's like maybe I won't know exactly what they're referencing, but the way that they write it, it suggests that they're making some sort of point, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
certain words being
Yeah.
capitalized or like they make enough draw enough attention on a specific thing where you're like, okay, so I should know this is something significant.
I will also say, when I think Gardens of the Moon, the first book specifically, is I think a lot of elements are trying to be specifically like anti-fantasy or
Sure.
subverting tropes. I did not know that going into the first one, and I don't feel like it affected my enjoyment of the book.
Okay.
So I think you can just read it on its face and find it enjoyable. I think some people think the first one is written differently than the other ones, and some people they're like, oh, it's the weakest one. I from the get-go was like I was locked in. So it's not that the first one is bad and the rest are good. The first one is just different and the rest are different in the same way, if that
like
makes any
season
sense.
1 of Doctor Who as compared to the following 15 seasons.
I think having not seen the first season of Doctor Who, that's probably a good comparison. Because no one hates the first season. It's just like different.
It's just like
right?
different.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's like if you're reading Hyperion might be a good example. If you're listening to this, you know what that is. The first book in the Hyperion series is a bunch. These people are on a spaceship and they're going to this planet, and the whole book is all of the characters saying how they got to the spaceship, and it's just short stories back to back to
That's
back.
cool.
The next book is they're all on their adventure.
This first book is just a bunch of short
No.
stories.
I'm
Okay.
I'm saying it's so like
Structure-wise.
structure-wise, this book is going to be different
Than
than
the
things
rest
you
of
have
the
read, which
series.
is why I think people think it's the weakest because they're not used to.
It's setting
the
up a
rest
lot of
the
different
book,
stuff.
Okay.
And it's shorter, and it's written in a sort of a
I'll
different
say-
structure.
I do love a payoff, so I'm willing to stick with
there's
something if
payoffs.
I know there's some good.
This
payoffs.
whole thing is payoffs. Anyway,
Part
so
of
we'll
me
talk.
is scared that I'm going to be so in love. I'm not going to be able to live my life anymore. But another
Yeah,
part of me is
I'm
I'm going to
also
be so
worried about that.
confused that I'm going to sound dumb on this.
I think
podcast.
I think both. Well, I don't think you're going to sound dumb, but I
Okay,
think
that's
both of those
nice.
things are correct. Well, so we didn't go.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Sarah, what do you know of this series and like what happens in it
sure.
or of it?
I know very little. Like Shelby, I don't know a lot. When Mac was reading it for the first time, sometimes he would talk to me about it and like talk about stuff that happened. I don't remember anything that he talked about.
Yeah.
I know he like has said
I know.
Divorce
I know.
incoming. Divorce incoming.
he has said a lot of times he's like, I don't know if you're gonna like it. Because when I read books, I get like I really cannot
is the reason
separate reality from the book.
What
and
is
it's
your
like,
least favorite Star Wars film,
episode 3.
and why?
Because of Order 66, because
Right.
it's real and it's
Yeah.
really happening and they really died. And so it's like not, I don't have the ability to,
You have
to
a hard time.
compartmentalize.
You're a very empathetic person. You have a very hard time separating what is happening in the art to it. You being able to step away and be like, "This is just a
Shelby-
story."
I think
This is
Shelby's the
not-
same
I'm
way.
the exact. Okay,
No,
let's
literally,
give
Shelby.
I'm going to give some context. Sarah, aka Boo, and I are the same human.
I-
True.
yes.
It's
So
very
we
true.
are, I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of very similar thought patterns. I do therapy for part of my job, so I'm like super highly empathetic,
Yeah.
and that's why I only read nonfiction business books to turn my brain
no
off.
stakes to sales
Yeah,
tax.
I have such a hard time with stakes. But I do love stakes. I just
Well, there's some
know
stuff in this
I
book,
get
like after a long
obsessed.
day, there's some bits in the book you're like, boy, I don't want to engage with that.
Yeah.
Like, what are you fucking talking
But I'm
about?
learning. I'm like learning how to. I'm actually gaining this kind of endurance because I'm reading
Yeah.
The Realm of the Elderlings.
It's a skill. Yeah.
So you say
And-
you don't have a lot of fantasy experience, and yet you are.
But this is my
1, 2, 3, 4,
first
5, 6,
one.
7, 8, 9 books into the realm of the
Yes,
Elderlings.
and so I feel good about like maybe the more fantasy structure of a story. But I would say prior to that, my fantasy experience when I was a child, I did Harry Potter and Percy Jackson.
Sure.
And then
Oh, yeah.
when I was an adult, I read ACOTAR. I said, this is the worst book I've ever read.
That was the
Oh,
first
I loved
fantasy
it.
novel you read, because you read that before you read The Lord of the Rings, right?
Correct. And then I read The Lord of the Rings, and now I'm reading The Realm of the Elderlings, and that's where I'm at. So, but I'm like learning how to the payoff, because when I watch movies, sometimes I look up the ending when it's too emotionally stressful because I'm like, oh my God, I have to know what happens. But I'm learning how to not do that because of The Realm of the Underlings.
I just avoid movies. So this is like going to be, I'm excited to get back into some art. I think it's going to be good. But Danylo has said the exact same thing. I don't think you're going to like this, or I don't know if you're going to like this.
I don't
and
know.
that is like my experience with the book so far. It's going to be hard. There's going to be some scenes that are challenging and I might not like it, but I'm locked in and I'm ready.
Violent and dense is what I've heard.
And I also think, like, I don't know, and people listening to this, I would say a lot of the way the fandom talks about the difficulty of these books is overblown.
We've talked about
largely.
that, talking about Dune,
Yeah.
where people say Dune is the hardest book ever to read, and it's really not.
No, it's complicated. The author doesn't hold your hand, but like if you're reading it and you're curious and engaged, that's fine. And part of the experience is to be overwhelmed by like what's happening in this world, because the characters are also overwhelmed by the insane stuff happening in this world, and so that's intentional.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I noticed, I think William Gibson does a very similar thing, who is a science fiction author. If you're ever hyper confused about what something means, because characters say these words and they don't explain them because the characters know what they mean, 3 pages later, you will encounter somebody who doesn't know what it means and they'll explain it.
Lovely.
And I think that's the same thing here.
Yeah. You have to sort of go with it and the answers. There's, I think in the first book, I don't know if it'll be in the part we'll read for next time, a character says to another character literally how to approach the books. He's like,
Oh
you
my
live
God,
in
really?
you live in a confusing and crazy world, and answers will come as they need to, but just take it one step at a time and you'll be fine.
Like a
great.
video
That's
game.
basically yeah, exactly.
Well, you say that. I think an important thing to know about
yes.
this book series is it is based on the tabletop game that Steven Erikson and his friends were making. So the god characters of his tabletop game are principal cast members of this
That's
book.
cool.
And why a lot of stuff is insane and weird is because it's directly drawing on events of the tabletop game.
Yeah. And they're also like, it's primarily Steven Erikson and Esselmont, his friend, and they're both, another thing is they both played this tabletop game in the 80s and made this world and took elements of what happened there and this world and like made this book series about it. They're also good authors where it's not a transcription of their
Oh,
gaming thing. Like they took what
That would be
happened and like made a
unbearable.
story about it. And not every character is like Steven Erikson played this character in this thing. But some of those are, and it's fun.
You can
once
kind of
start,
tell who's
once you
who.
start reading, you sort of see the way you're like, oh, this does sort of feel like a D&D party, or oh, this character, and it's fun to be like, oh, this was a playable character, or this event was a die
there's
roll.
definitely some people you meet where you're like, okay, so that was somebody's playable character.
Right? Yeah.
Like some of the just like the coolest guys ever. You're like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
everybody
that's
else in this
fun.
chapter is a loser. Except
And
for
that
this
is like,
guy.
again, nothing you have to worry about
Yeah,
while
no.
reading the books. Like you can never know that about the books and still have a good time reading them. There's just a lot of fun background lore because it is 10 huge books and I don't know how many other supplemental stuff. Like it's 10 books by Steven Erikson. Steven Erikson's written a prequel trilogy and a sequel trilogy and interspersal fantasy comedy novellas. And Esselmont has written prequel trilogy and sequel trilogy and conquer equals as well in the
That's
series. So
crazy.
It's a
there's
lot
a
of
lot
words.
of content. Yeah.
That's very like, it's like Tolkien. There's the
Yes,
story,
yes.
and then there's the dictionary, the Silmarillion.
It's just the difference is they're being written at the same time, not
Not
30 years later.
Yeah.
And this, so I'll step back. So you haven't heard like what this series is about. I will just do a brief overview of like a primer, shall we say. So it is essentially a series about the military exploits of the Malazan Empire across several continents. In short, that is what it is.
So there's going to be battles.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes, there will be.
Do you like a battle?
I do like a battle. You know what I was thinking about when you were saying all this?
yeah.
It's also a book that's well written. So I'm like
Yes,
very
yeah, exactly.
interested
Yeah,
to
yeah,
read.
yeah.
Right, in Hardcover Hooligans, you really like to talk about the craft of the writing itself versus just the story content. And I think I'm excited and intimidated, honestly, to read a book that's really well written because I am going to have to think. But I think that's going to be cool. I do like battles, so I'm like, ooh, I'm excited to see how somebody is going to write about that in this
it's
format.
fun that you say that because I think I've talked about this on the show. I hate fight scenes and battle scenes in books because I find them confusing, and it's not really why I'm there. I'm not like I would watch like a movie if I wanted a visual representation of this. This is one of the Battle of Pelennor Fields in The Lord of the Rings is another example of one that I really like. This is the book series that changed that for me because
Ooh.
war is hellish. The wars that happen in the books are hellish and confusing, and the passages that describe them are hellish and confusing. And it was like the perfect marriage of like, this is as close to being in the mindset of these people as one can get without actually being in this fictional world. And like, I got it because we've talked about this, and yeah, I'm going to bring it up. Brandon Sanderson. And I don't begrudge people who do like this. It's not really a reason why I don't like Brandon Sanderson, but there are very detailed fight scenes that read like a video game, and I think that is hopelessly boring. And that is not how these books are written, which I think is very cool.
And I would also say there's a lot of fantasy where, and especially series, where the end of a book is a battle. And the climax is a battle because the climax of a fantasy book is a battle. Now, many of the climaxes in these fantasy books are a battle, but a lot aren't. And that's also interesting. And I feel different big battles or those like big touch point battles or conflicts all feel very different. And something that Steven Erikson has said a lot is fantasy is a way to make the metaphor real in the world.
Cool.
And so like he's a writer who knows what he's doing. So that is always something to keep an eye out for. You're like, what
Yeah,
does
that's
this
cool.
fantasy thing mean in terms of like saying something about, humanity or people or conflict or pain or suffering or motherhood or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's like, not to bring it back to the whole Catholic thing, but it's like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Like that's sort of C.S. Lewis's attitude too. It's like, I want to make this real. Like if it happened in our world, like what would it look like? So that's cool. And also the way you're talking about it, like it's very dynamic is what it sounds like. And multifaceted. And I feel like the reason I don't like fantasy a lot of the time is because it's like a lot of the same, or it's like, oh, we're just going to do this trope again. And it's like, oh my God, I'm bored and I'm not engaged. So to hear that, I'm like, it makes me curious. I feel curious about what's
Part of
gonna
the
happen.
anti-fantasy, and I feel comfortable saying this, Steven Erikson has said this is a world that does not have misogyny because
Okay.
From the get, men and women are the same. The heart of the series, who you will not meet for 4 books,
Lovely.
Something like that, yeah.
the main character is a woman.
Nice.
And I think that goes to the end because so much like garbage fantasy you'll read is like hyper misogynistic.
The
it's like,
one
why?
chosen one, like I think even Wheel of Time is. I haven't read
Yes,
Wheel of
yeah.
Time, but it's one chosen one, and it's a boy or a man, and it's their story. But it really is like a kaleidoscope of the story of like these people stuck in these situations trying to do the best they can in the crazy world. And something about like the overarching story is it is crazy because the way I read it is you sort of every book in the last book of the Fallen is a standalone story. Like you could read an individual one and be like, that arc is done. There's some loose ends and stuff that get tied up in other books or the next book, but for the most part, the main thrust of the book is complete. So there aren't really any cliffhangers. The only exception, I think, being between book 9 and 10. But throughout you're reading these books, you're trying to pick up what the overarching story is. And, you know, in normal fantasy series, you read the first book and you're like, okay, however long this book is, there's the big bad guy in book 1. And I know that at the end of the book, the end of the series, there's them going to be beating the big bad guy. And that this is an aversion on all of that. And it sort of doesn't become clear exactly what's happening till almost the last book. I was pretty stunned by the time I got to the last book and was like, this is what's been happening this whole time. And it all sort of all like comes together.
But it like makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Sounds like Robin Hood.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
I love her, by the way. I just have to put that in.
Can
I love it.
Can I say, or do you not want me to say, why book 5 is such a break?
I think so. I'll say this. I think I don't find it super interesting to be super coy about spoilers and such.
Yeah.
I obviously am not. We're not going to say major plot points or spoilers. And I also want to be mindful of, you know, if anyone's listening to this and hasn't read them, like we're doing a lot of preamble with no detail, sort of for no reason. So if this isn't helpful for you, just go read a book. It's not that hard. You just read the book.
Or if you're listening to this when it comes out,
to
just skip it and listen to when we actually talk about it.
Yeah, I also want it to be helpful for people who hear things about this series or like want to set expectations because this is not a standard fantasy series. So if you're coming to it thinking it is, you can bounce off of it without actually getting into the thing. Yeah. And so with that being said, with each book being complete, there's a pretty big asterisk. But there's jumps between books, and I will have Mac explain what he's talking about.
Takes place 300,000 years in the past in a different dimension and doesn't have any of the same characters, except for one who is not even a main character of the series, charting. At the end of the 4th book, a character says, I got to tell you about something crazy that happened. And then the 5th book is that story. And so I bring that up because
and
if
it
you've
doesn't
ever
actually happen that far. I think the prologue is 300 years in the past.
Oh,
but
I think you're right.
It happens several decades before the rest of the whole series.
Crazy.
But what happens there ends up being one of the most important settings. And some people say of the series, there's like 3 main settings, and honestly, I think Midnight Tides is my like favorite book of the series, which is the 5th one.
I think that's the trusting process.
Yeah,
I just have to go in and trust because
author.
I love a cliffhanger because I'm like, oh, okay, then I can go into the next one. And I'm an addictive personality kind of gal, so like if I start a book, like that's all I'm doing for the next 3 weeks. Sorry, I'm going to be reading this entire series nonstop. So I like having that. That gives me like the momentum to keep going.
Yeah.
And I think what you just brought up is perfect. I think all our babbling has been to say is if you're interested in this, you can trust Steven Erikson. Because I think there's been a lot of, in the fantasy space, a lot of falsely placed trust. And fantasy readers have been burned by George R. R. Martin, Patrick Rothfuss not finishing their series, or the series having huge drop-offs. Well, The Wheel of Time has a famous 4-book stretch called The Slog.
Dang.
Which is probably why I'm never going to read it. But anyway, that's besides the point.
There's one big one, really, really challenging bits of text.
Like the way it's written.
When
or
you,
like
yeah, okay. So here's my question: when you say challenging, does it mean it's like boring? Like it's hard to read,
it's hard.
or
it's hard
disturbing.
to? It is horrifically disturbing to the point where each time there's like 3 big major ones, but there's one huge one. There are essays, which I think we should read and talk about.
Yeah.
That Steven Erikson has written an essay about every single one.
That's amazing.
Because everything he puts in the series is, because he's an anthropologist, and he says, everything I put in this series is something that has happened in real life to people. And in fact, there are worse things that have happened to people. And so he tries to specifically be like, hey, I put these things in here so that like you can not really experience what it's like, but there's a narrative purpose behind things. It's not just trauma porn.
And we'll be doing trigger warnings and stuff.
Yeah.
Because
At the top of the show and in the description, we'll have that, and then we'll try to set up discrete sections within. We'll try to figure out how to do like chapter breaks.
So you
in
can
the
skip
episode.
it if you want.
Yeah.
So what I've heard about this series is Mac has said a few times where he's like, this is like emotionally devastating, or like this is like
and I'm like,
so terrible. I know.
Let's do it.
I know, but so what I was thinking about the other day, and then also I just remembered right now, when I was like, okay, I'm gonna approach this series like it's a textbook, like this is academia,
It's funny that you say that.
and like I'm gonna approach it from like a very analytical, unemotional perspective, just to like shield myself from those kinds of things, because like you, Shelby, I can't separate it.
No,
so
I
if
have
I
a hard
approach
time.
it like a textbook, maybe I'll be okay.
It's funny that you say that. It's like framed like this, but it's not. It doesn't read like this. The book series is you're reading a book called the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and you're reading. It is a textbook about the history of this country.
Just like
it's
in
sort of-
Fourth
yeah.
Wing.
Yeah. Actually, yes.
Yeah, reading
Actually,
So
yes.
you have
history.
sort of a meta part of it, because at the end
Cool.
of every book it says like
You have
thus
to assume
ends
they're
the
all
first
gonna
book
die.
of the Book of the Fallen or something like that.
And it's called the Book of the Fallen.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
It's
That
not
would
called
be
the book
my
of
guess.
everybody ended up super awesome.
Yeah, that's my favorite joke in the community. It's not the book of happy fun time where everyone lives.
See, but that's what that's what I want. I want everybody to
I
live.
like a
There's
happy
plenty of-
I
ending.
think, and here's the thing, I will say, it's not, especially, I don't know, I think overall it is, how do I phrase this? Not misery neutral, but there is plenty of good stuff that happens to good people.
These books are
also.
genuinely funny too.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
there's parts that are hilarious. There's parts that, like, we talk about like fantasy, everything's a metaphor. There's a lot of parts that like you're like, that's really cool.
Yeah,
You're
just
like,
cool stuff.
that's really cool.
When you figure out for yourself what the magic system of this world is, and we're going to talk about it.
Oh, you
we're gonna
discover
talk about
it?
it.
Well, they
You-
never say. You kind of have to
You
just
just,
figure
like,
it out.
figure
And
it
when you
out.
do figure it out, I can guarantee everybody on the show will be like, okay, that's maybe the coolest thing in the world.
And it's not even really a system, because
No.
even in like book 8 and 9, people are like, well, so how does this work exactly? And other characters are like,
yeah.
we just sort of do it.
But that's what I like, because if this is my true opinion, if your magic system is something that can be explained word for word, like to perfection, that's a science fiction novel. You did not write fantasy because
Huh.
that's science, right? 'Cause
Ooh.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like if you can
So,
explain
like, let's
it
just
so
say
perfectly.
hypothetically, there was a book where there was some characters and they were ingesting some metals to do
Oh,
some
boy.
sort of
Making them
magic.
different powers. And then and that gave them magnet powers.
You would call that a science
Is
fiction.
this Brandon Sanderson?
I don't know what you're talking
Oh, no,
about.
yeah, we don't
don't
But
know.
yeah, I would call that
Talk to
science
the
fiction.
Hardcover Hooligans about
Because
that.
fantasy is magic and magic is inexplicable. And so in order for it to be magical and fantastical, it has to be also inexplicable.
And that's this.
okay,
I
great.
do think it's fun when they touch on it, but I also
Oh, they'll touch on it.
I like part of me doesn't care.
Right.
Right,
Yeah, I've
right,
never
right. I
cared
agree,
once.
Shelby.
I just want to see what happens.
No,
Yeah.
they'll do cool stuff, and then other cool stuff's going to happen. And the more I think about it, the more excited I get that you're going to read it.
forgetting that it's like I think fantasy, and I am thinking, okay, there's going to be creatures, but I
Oh.
like,
Oh,
but
there's
then
creatures.
you say
There's the
battle,
best
and then I'm
creatures.
like, oh, it's just going to be a bunch of sword fighting.
No.
No, oh,
no.
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 No,
We say
guns.
we say battles. Most of the battles are not two people hitting each other with swords.
See, and that's where I'm like,
It's-
oh, that's where the magic
But
comes
that's
in.
Most
what
of the
I-
They're
battles
hitting
are
each other with lasers.
we don't have enough wizards, so we should surrender. And the other side says no and burns them to a crisp, like that sort of stuff.
Fun.
It's funny you say that, Shelby. That's also what I picture when they say battle. It's like, okay, two warring armies with swords.
Yeah, and they're on
going
a
head to
field.
That's
head.
part of
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
But guys, it's the best soldiers you've ever heard. They're your close.
Oh, you're
personal
gonna be
friends.
you're gonna be
They're
big
your close,
fans.
and
of
also,
them.
I
and here's
love
the
a
thing,
good
because
friend.
Steven Erikson has made this world without misogyny, or at least like structural racism in the same way.
Period.
Like women just unquestioningly have roles in the military and leadership roles, and no one ever like questions that like women are in charge, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know,
I've never. That's fascinating. I guess when I read those books, I'm
Almost-
excited to not
yeah.
take that for granted. To be
No,
like,
almost
wow.
almost
Yeah.
half, if not more, of the named characters. I don't know what that percentage is, but like are women.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like the Six Duchies. That's what I'm thinking. I love Robin.
Yeah,
I
just
have
well, there's women can be in charge,
women can
and
be in
no
charge,
one.
and they love them, and they don't even blink. And it's like, of course, because this is a made up world, and so why would you have things from our world in
Yeah.
there.
Unless you're
Unless
trying to
it's
make
for
a point
purpose.
on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Can I read the back of the first book or no?
Yeah. So it's I don't I just want to see if I have any more general notes to get out of the way. Oh, I will say one other thing. So I just looked this up. There, in the course of the Book of the Fallen, I don't know if, or it might be the whole world. I don't remember. There are 690 named characters.
Oh, that's the other thing I knew is that there's a big list at the front, and I'm supposed to remember all these
There's
people.
a dramatis personae at the beginning of every book.
And this is why, so if you're listening to this, I personally would not recommend reading the audiobooks the first time through the series. And, and maybe if at some point you want to switch over to the audiobooks once you get it, maybe.
I mean,
but
we're doing
definitely the
like
first
a
books.
structured show. So if we have recorded dates, so if you have to, it's not the end of the world.
Right. What mainly got me through the first books, because there's a lot of characters, there's no way to expect that you'll remember all of them at any given point. So we'll talk about it on the show, but also there is a list of characters at the front, and I think every book I was constantly flipping back and forth to say, wait, who's this person? So, yeah, so that is something to keep track of. I have at the end, in a little bit, once we talk a little bit more, I have some tips about
I know
starting
I keep
this.
talking about Fourth
series.
Wing and
Yeah.
Akatar, but
No, that's fine.
No, that's good.
But they had a map in the front of the book, and that's again novel. Not my textbooks don't have maps. So.
No.
What is
And
this?
if they do, it's just the world.
Yes,
we
yeah. So I can say I do have experience, because I feel like for the second, maybe it was Iron Flame, they did have a list of characters, and then the dragons, because I could never remember the
I think there
dragons'
is,
names,
yeah.
and
Oh,
I would
yeah.
always have to go back and be like, oh, okay. But that list was
See, I
maybe
didn't care enough
20
to-
people.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we will be also following. There's this thing called the Tor reread of the Fallen on the Tor website. It's a publishing company that I think publishes
publish
these
this.
and other fantasy books. Where I think 10+ years ago, 2 people read through and did have very detailed write ups. So we'll sort of use that as a way to supplement our reading and structure it for the folks reading this for the first time. I think for entertainment purposes, don't read this before you come on the podcast. We want to clarify everything in person, but after we're done, you can go back and can help your reading along. I would also say if you have any questions about what happens or what things are, do not Google anything. Do not Google pictures. Do
That's
not
the
Google
first
stuff.
thing I do with
Yeah,
my
don't.
fantasy
No,
books is look at
same.
fan art, and I always am like, okay, I know the rest of the book now, which gives me comfort.
Well, and here's the thing: if you feel tempted to do that, I'm talking to the listeners. I'm talking to the people in this room. Don't actually do this. Text me, and I will send you what you want. You say, "Hey,
Okay.
here's this character. I want to see what they look like," or "Where is this in the world?" or something, and then I will either say, "Save it for the show," or "Here, here you go." So.
You know what's also very fun about this? I'm on a Discord where we talk about books, and this is the first time
Aw.
that's ever happened to me.
Aw.
That's
Good.
awesome.
Somebody wants to text me about a book.
Shelby, I'm really excited to read this with you because one, I feel like we're coming at it from the same perspective
Yes.
and with the same attitude.
You're not going to like this. There's 30,000 characters. There's 3 devastating moments, and every book does not have a cliffhanger. But boy, is it well written.
And we both are gonna be probably emotionally affected in the
Yes.
same way. But we'll do it together.
But we can
won't
text
be
each other
alone.
about it, so it's okay.
We won't be alone.
Yeah, so I think what we've learned from this so far is find a friend. If you're going to read this book, maybe find a
Or-
friend.
Oh,
find
We're
a
your
friend.
friends.
Or listen to the
Listen to us 'cause we're your
podcast.
friends.
Listen to the podcast.
But
We'll be
get
releasing
yourself
episodes
a
every
friend.
2 weeks, give or take, and then we may take a break between books. We may not. We will see. Mac, would you like to do what you're going to do?
Yes,
And then
I
have
want to
a
read
few
the back
things,
of the
and
first
then-
book.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm excited.
Okay. The Malazan Empire simmers with discontent, bled dry by interminable warfare, bitter infighting, and bloody confrontations with ancient and implacable sorcerers. Even the imperial legions, long inured to the bloodshed, yearn for some respite. Yet Empress Lacine's rule remains absolute, enforced by her dreaded claw assassins. For Sergeant Whiskey Jack and his squad of bridge burners, and for Tattersail, their lone surviving mage, the aftermath of the siege of Pale should have been a time to mourn the many dead. But Darujistan, last of the free cities, yet holds out. It is to this ancient citadel that Lacine turns her predatory gaze. However, the Empire is not alone in this great game. Sinister, shadow-bound forces are gathering as the gods themselves prepare to play their hand. Conceived and written on a panoramic scale, Gardens of the Moon is epic fantasy of the highest order, an enthralling adventure by an outstanding voice.
So what stood out to me?
They said blood
what's
like
the-
3
what's
times.
The back of the books, like it's impossible to try to summarize what happens in one of these books, especially the first one, which is why it seems crazy. And the back of every single book reads like insanity.
And
That was crazy. There were words I don't
What's
think
a
I've ever
whiskey
heard.
jack?
No,
Oh,
no, so
but
that
I
was
heard the
one of
word
them.
whiskey and I was like, ooh,
I'm in.
Yeah.
I like whiskey.
No, I like the word. Oh, okay, this is what I was a fan of. Ancient Citadel. I'm excited about that. What didn't super thrill me? Whiskey Jack. Is that somebody's name?
I think it's a
And
name.
if that's
it
a
was
name, are you excited that his name is Whiskey Jack?
I don't know. I think you'll have to read.
It sounded like a name to me. I'm gonna, and you know, if your name's Whiskey Jack, like you better have a big role in this book because that's a great name. Second of all,
Shelby, did anything stand out to you from the back of the book?
I know what an empress is, so that was like,
Nice.
ooh.
Empress
Ooh.
Lacine. That
Oh,
I know
that-
what
that
that
was
is. And they said blood like 3 times. Shedded blood, bloody field.
and you
something
heard
like that.
you heard claw assassins.
Yeah,
I did hear
I
that.
know what an
What's
assassin
that?
is. Okay, so far we've got empress, assassin, whiskey Jack, and
yeah.
Claw.
Blood.
And
Darujistan.
A claw assassin, it makes me think it's like a creature.
Okay.
oh,
That's
You know.
interesting.
but most of it sounded like gobbledygook. So
Yep.
I'm really. If I pick this up in a store, in a bookstore, let me be not just a grocery store, like a bookstore, where I was looking for.
Like in the magazine. Like in the magazine
Shelby
section.
buys her fantasy at Hy-Vee.
At the bookstore. At the,
And they're selling Gardens of the Moon at CVS.
Like I'm actively looking for a book and not chopping for onions, you know. And
as you are.
and I picked this up and I read the back. I don't know if I would.
I wouldn't either.
Because
I
I would be
wouldn't
like, what does any of that mean? So I am grateful that I get to do this with people who are excited about it, and that I'm just supposed to trust it.
And that they'll help guide us.
They'll guide
Exactly.
us. The
How
book
did
said
you
it's gonna guide
two?
us.
How did you two get into this
Yeah.
series, and
Oh,
where did you
I'm
first
happy
hear about
you
it?
asked.
Yeah.
So there's this guy who, oh shit, I really should have looked up his name. He's a writer and a literature professor, and I watch his YouTube videos. And he was going down his top 10 books of all time, or top 10 fantasy books of all time, and we had really similar lists. And then his number one was, he just said the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and I was like, oh well, we have the same taste, so I'm sure I'll like this book. And so I went and I bought it, and I read the back, and I was like, it just kind of sounds like anything else. And then the prologue chapter into present day, I was like, oh, I'm in.
You're locked in.
Oh, if the prologue's good and you're locked in, usually it takes me like
I think it
half a
took
book.
It probably took me a little bit longer, but there's like one.
Well, who showed it to you, Danilo?
That was Mac. Mac told me about it. Mac
interesting.
told me about it in a
Interesting.
car when I would give him rides back from play rehearsal.
Yeah, the beginning. I don't know if we ever talked about this.
Yeah.
oh, they're in a place together.
Well, yeah, but the reson we started the show
That's
is because
right.
we would hang out on these car rides all the time and just talk about books. And one day
Mhm.
we were like, "Why are we doing this for free?"
But now we're doing it for free and recording
it. Yeah,
You're
yeah,
actually
and-
in the hole in terms of recording, talking about
true.
books.
Yeah.
That
We
is
lost
true.
a lot of
we
money.
are, I
on
mean,
this.
yeah. So yeah, we have more microphones. We are pretty much in the hole.
Yeah, you are.
pretty much in the hole, but it's all fun. It's all fun. Oh, I was gonna say. So like in this book, I liked it because it was fantasy stuff, and there's like one character or interaction where I think I read, and I was like, okay, I'm in. This is-
Okay,
this is
I'm
I will
excited
tell
to
you
learn
my
what it
I'm
is.
in point. I'm
yes,
excited.
everyone. If you have one,
I'm a slow with my 2 fantasy books with Fourth Wing and Akatar. It took me many chapters, I think, to like really get excited about it, even when I knew that people loved it. And the Assassin's Blade series, is that what it's called?
Assassin's Apprentice.
Assassin's
The
Apprentice
Farseer
series.
trilogy.
I know is very good, but I tried to read the first chapter and I couldn't get into it. So
No,
I
that makes
know
sense.
it takes me a
the
while
first
to
chapter
get
is
into
about
books.
a 6-year-old walking down a hallway.
Yeah.
Well, and we were on vacation in Mexico, and the sun was beating down on you, and you're like, the 6 duchies were ruled by Regal and Shrewd, and you're like, I simply can't do this right now.
I read
So I'm
this-
a little worried I'm going to have
Speaking
that
of,
experience.
I read this book for the first time over
Gardens of the Moon.
4th of July weekend. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Drunk and hadn't been sleeping, which is how I ingested this book.
And if
Well-
you can do it drunk and half asleep,
Yeah,
Then
you can
I
do
can do it drunk and half asleep, and that's my plan.
Yes.
Well, but Shelby, Assassin's Apprentice, in your defense, I had to start it. I think I read the first chapter 6 times.
You did.
And then
Okay.
eventually
You did.
I was like, okay, I'm going to just do it. And the other two is not your fault because the ACOTAR doesn't start until page 250.
Yeah.
So it was not your fault that you were not interested
Okay,
until
great.
that point.
But this we start this book in media res, so everything we're in the middle of some big stuff.
Oh.
there's
So
no-
maybe you'll be drawn right in.
which is also why
Oh.
people are a little confused because there's no getting to know anybody. We are
Like
on the
no
mission.
romance.
or know places or what's happening or what just happened. You sort of learn it implicitly. I will say I wrote some quick tips for listeners and for you guys here with
For
me
me.
getting started. So the first scene of the first book or the first prologue takes place on a place that isn't on the map in the front of the book and happens like a decade before the rest of the book. So I know that was a point of confusion for me where I'm trying to orient myself.
Me
and I'm
too.
like, I said, there's a map. And I later learned the place where the book starts is not on the maps that are included. I think
That's
Stephen,
huge.
I
They
think-
should say that.
yeah.
in
Well, I
this
think
is-
Stephen Erickson would
Wanted it to
ideally
be
wanted to
confusing.
have 30 pages of maps at the beginning of every book, but
Oh.
the publishers did not let him do that.
30 pages of maps to map the whole world, regardless of that book actually takes place in that
exactly.
part
Well,
of
and
the
they have
world.
all sorts of maps because these are like D&D campaigns and it's the whole world. And
These are the most detailed, aside from maybe Middle Earth, the most detailed fantasy.
oh
maps I've
yeah,
ever seen.
the
Cool.
world, the world feels insanely lived in.
Because he's an anthropologist.
Yeah, the prologue of the first scene takes place in a place called Malaz City, which is not anywhere on the map. Just so you know, it's like sort of the birthplace of the Malazan Empire. It's the birthplace of the empire. Yeah. Like I said before, if this is your first time reading Malazan Book of the Fallen, audiobooks probably not recommended. But you know, if you want to try,
Well,
by all
I can
means.
personally attest to their quality. Not that the
lack of
like,
quality.
Well, it's not that the people reading them are doing a bad job. It's just every person is reading a different book, so they assign some people. When I perceive the Malazan Empire to be American, and British, like the idea of American imperialism, British imperialism, some of the audiobooks have French accents.
Oh.
What?
Some of them
What?
they have German accents.
I don't
So it
expect
wasn't
any
cohesive.
accents in a fantasy series.
Every single book, they're pronouncing characters' names differently.
Oh.
There's no
Yikes.
consistency.
And place names differently. And so I read the first 2 and then I was really busy at work or whatever, so I bought the third one and I turned it on, and it's just such like a mind. You're like, this isn't how I've been reading these books for like probably 45 hours, and this is not what these words are, so it's tough. And I think if you just start with the audiobook, you're going to have a tough time remembering anything just because it's an onslaught of information.
And really, all the characters, every book, basically, I'm flipping back to the front to see
Oh, yeah.
who's who. And I was even, getting to book 9, and I thought, surely he won't be introducing a bunch of new characters. And yet, here we are getting a bunch of new
I
characters.
can't wait
I
for
think
that.
I want to say this may not be factually true, but book 10 I think is the only book without any brand new big characters.
Probably because there's 3,000 already.
Yeah, exactly.
They
No,
ran out of
exactly.
print. They ran out of ink.
They ran out of ink.
the printing press is malfunctioning. Fuck, I got to take out these guys.
On the note of the characters, something I'd wish I'd done more. This may be more relevant later on, but because there's a lot of characters and it's always unclear who's important right away and who's not important right now, and who becomes important. Learning who all the characters are roughly is pretty important. Even just like taking your time and take one character at a time and attach some sort of trait to them or a character, like one thing, like, oh, this guy is the healer, or this guy is witty, or this gal has red hair. So you have like one thing to hook on so that when you come back, you can hook onto it. But once there starts being more soldiers and squads and stuff, I sort of probably went a little too fast through that, thinking they sort of weren't going to be important. But then you're with them a lot, and so like you kind of want to know them. So I would suggest doing that, like taking your time to get to know the characters and really get in your head, like, okay, who is this? Can I imagine them? Do I have a character trait associated with them? So that when they come back, you might not remember it right away, but like you've started the work of like building a relationship with this character.
And the order, it doesn't say this, but if you look at the dramatis personae, I think this is generally true. The further down the list is maybe not literally less important in the world, but is less important or takes up less time in the story.
Like their name is said less.
Yeah. Except sometimes somebody will be at the very bottom of the list, and then the next book, like, hey, I hope you remember them because they're the main character of this book.
That's cool.
They just
though.
weren't in the first one.
I hope they put their name on the list in the next book.
They will. They
do.
will.
They
They
do.
will.
They do.
They don't expect. Yeah.
No, you just have to.
Yeah. They don't
limited
expect you
list.
to remember it again. No, every named character is in the dramatis personae
Love
every
it.
time.
Love it.
Great.
If I have a cheat sheet, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
do
the
that.
cheat.
Yeah, I
They
feel
won't-
warmed up for that.
They won't always tell you exactly who they are. It'll just say like others, and then it says like, let's get an example. Further players. Icarium, builder of the Wheel of Ages in Darujistan.
Epic.
Oh my God, I'm going to say so
That's-
many words wrong
Yeah.
in this
That's
show.
good.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm excited about
I
that.
forgot
So,
about the wheel.
Just so you know about how I process character names in fantasy books, I'm going to call them that a person.
No,
I love it.
that. So I will say, you can try that.
But there's only
a lot of A names.
26 letters in the alphabet.
No, but there's a lot of A names and a lot that are similar.
Well, you'll know the A characters, but then for everybody else,
The
say
wheel
that
guy.
wheel
Shelby, we
guy.
live together. So if you're like,
Okay,
how do you
that's
say
true.
this? I will tell you how to say it, and so you can say it in your head so you can remember it.
The wheel guy.
Wheel man.
The guy with the death wheel.
We did pronunciation for Malazan. We should do it's Teist and D.
Yes.
You will see that, and you will know it when you see it.
Teist.
Is that a character?
It's a race of people.
Tiste. Teist. That's how we're
Teist.
saying it. Some people might
Lovely.
disagree. That's how we're saying it.
There are the Talon Emas. Is how you say the other.
I say
group of
Talon
people.
Emas, but it's Talon. We'll
Teist
talk
Talon
about
Emas.
this more as they come up.
But just like when you read it, this is a good example of they're constantly pronouncing it differently in the audiobooks.
Oh,
So
okay.
just to have
Yeah.
at least one pronunciation in your head.
Like I said before, I'll keep the reading order of the show on the website. It may change, but I think basically we're going to do the first 5 books straight through before we start doing anything else.
And we have a
5 or
website,
6.
so that's pretty cool. You should check it out.
So what are we reading, Danilo?
So we will be reading the first part of Gardens of the Moon, book 1 of the Malazan Book of the Fallen.
It's like I have a question. Is each book broken up into like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
In the books.
I like
Lovely.
that.
And that is how we'll be. The first one is split up weird. And the rest of them are more uniform in the way they are structured. And so after a book or 2, I think we will land on a split up structure that works for us.
So for
and
the first episode, we're reading the prologue and book 1, Pale. And you will
Cool.
stop before book 2, Darujistan.
Oh,
Is
it's
that
book
right?
1, not part 1. I like that even more.
Oh yeah, they're each books. So all this is to say, I'm incredibly excited because this is my favorite series and probably
Oh.
easily at least tied for the top reading experiences of my life. So
Wow.
I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'd like to do something fun to close out here. It's a
Ooh.
little game. I'm gonna say some things and ask you some questions, and I'm gonna ask if they mean anything to you.
Ooh, we're
And
gonna
they're about the
guess.
series. And there's some things that Mac knows about, and something Mac doesn't know about because they happen in the rest of the book.
Exciting.
These are not spoilers. If you haven't read the books, I think it just might be fun for people who have read the books to hear people talk. And then you can go back at the end and you can listen to it, and it
Cute.
could be fun down the road.
I'm excited.
There are light spoilers potentially, but also you're not going to remember any of this after reading the first 2 books of Gardens of the Moon. All right. Does Kachain Chamal mean anything to you?
Hmm.
What a
It
beautiful
sounds cool.
name.
Kachang Kamal.
Come on, come on.
Ka-ching, shamal. What about
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. It
Cha-ching,
sounds
Jamal.
like it could be
Cha-ching.
associated with money.
money.
Cha-ching. Cha-ching.
we're putting that for a call shot. Ka-ching, shamal is associated with money. What about the ka-ching Naruk?
Whoa, his brother.
Well, but it's money, I thought.
Naruto.
Money's brother.
So money.
Change.
Yeah, we've got dollars and coins. The first one's coins. This guy's dollars.
This guy's dollars.
This guy. If this guy's not dollars, I don't know what is.
I'm not playing.
I'm not.
Oh, this is important to say. Steven Erickson is Canadian, so they'd be Canadian dollars.
Oh, boo. The what do they
man.
call it? The looper? What do they call
A Canadian writing about battles?
Looper's my favorite Bruce. Looper's my favorite Bruce Willis movie.
Wow.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And you just say, what did you just say, Shelby? Can I get that clean into the mic?
Oh yeah.
A Canadian writing about battles?
Boom!
Who lost the War of 1812?
Is there a lot of maple syrup in this book?
Yeah, we won that war. We won that one.
I think it was the British and the French.
It was definitely had nothing to do with Canada. I
The
believe.
war of 1812. I thought it was on the border of the U.S. and Canada.
It is, but it was between Britain and France.
You're kidding.
Well, guess who didn't win?
But it happened on
Canada.
American soil. You can cut all this. You can cut all
No,
this.
Oh, it was the U.S. versus the UK.
Yeah.
but it was in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they didn't win.
Oh, I'm thinking the French-American War.
That one would be the American and French.
And also didn't involve Canada. I don't
No.
think.
I
Anyway,
don't think they've been in anything. So
No,
they
I'm
won't
not.
so
win.
I just want all
Famously
listeners to know, or if Steven Erickson is listening to this, we are all in Minnesota.
We're
so we
American.
we
We're
love
really
Canada.
close.
So
We
we can
love
make
Canada.
fun of. We can make fun of Canada.
We love them. We're
we get made fun
anti-military
of it
industrial
here.
complex. We love Canada.
That's true.
Now I have to ask one question: why isn't there any poutine in this book?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna keep going with our fun thing. So Kachin Naruk, that's dollars.
That's
You're saying
coins and dollars. If it's
That's
not
one
dollars,
that
I'm
doesn't
not
mean anything
buying.
to me, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't know if any of these other ones you might not know. Is Nefarious Bread a good soldier?
Ooh, he's
now
evil.
I love bread. So, but nefarious.
He's hardy but
His name
tricky.
is Nefarious Bread.
okay.
His
So
last name is Bredd.
I'm getting like multigrain.
Multigrain.
Oh,
He's multigrain.
That's a nefarious
He's like good
bread.
for you. Is that's what you mean?
Yeah.
But you don't love the act of eating it.
Yeah, he's hardy but
Like a sea
unpleasant.
bread.
Like if you went to Subway and they said, "What kind of bread do you want?" You said the nefarious bread. They would give you the multigrain.
multigrain.
Is crucifying a dragon a good idea or a bad
No,
idea?
Bad.
Now that's when you nail them to the cross,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yeah, Jesus style.
So
If that happens,
how
Good idea
big
or
is
bad
the
idea?
how big is the
Dragon?
Wait, you're thinking like space wise, not like spiritually.
like practically.
Or you're like, yeah,
speaking.
do I have room for this in my house?
Is the field gonna
It's
hold
huge.
this?
It's a full size.
This is my entertainment center. This is my crucified dragon.
It sounds rude.
It sounds like not
It does
probably
sound
a good
rude.
thing.
No, it
does
sounds
sound
bad,
rude.
and I don't want that to
It
happen.
sounds sad. Wait, are dragons like dogs in this series?
You'll find out what dragons are
Because
in this series.
in the series
they're not
I've
like
read,
They're not domesticated animals.
In the
Unleash
series
and
I've
eat
read,
kibble.
like dragons are our friends, you know, but in some fantasy series, dragons are
Right.
your enemies.
Which is
So
interesting.
what a bold move to nail your enemies up.
You're like you were. Yeah, I think that might be the message.
Yeah, if they're-
I don't think they did it to Jesus because they were like, "Let's fucking prank this guy."
Well, with what you've said about it, he's like always trying to make a point. He's an anthropologist. Is always happened to somebody. Maybe dragons are like sacrificial or like
It could
heroic,
be a sacrifice.
altruistic creatures.
Dragons are interesting in these books, and they are not like pets.
Oh yeah, and can
No.
I just say, you and I have spoke about your opinions of dragons in fantasy.
Oh yeah,
I
do
really
have strong
think
opinions about.
really think you're gonna like it here.
Cool.
It's interesting. Here's another question. Can you even believe that Fiddler used the drum to ambush the Teist Adur Letheri and 2 Kenrala demons?
Now
Can you believe that?
I do because I know what a drum is, and they do use it in battles.
Is
Yeah.
this Rome?
Huh?
Is it Rome?
This
What
is
did he
Minnesota.
say?
I mean, it's the capital D drum, the drum.
Oh, it's
yes.
the drum.
Boom,
Like
boom,
Bartok
boom.
or whatever. What Grand?
Boom,
you know?
boom, boom, boom.
Bartok is the bat
a
from
hammer.
Anastasia.
Oh,
Bela Bartok, modernist Hungarian composer.
Grand,
beautiful.
famous orc
Grand,
hammer.
yes,
Yeah.
I know Grand.
No, Danylo, that's actually crazy. That's crazy.
Do you think
that's pretty hype. I gotta
Here's
say,
what's
it's pretty
pretty
hype.
cool. One day I'm going to be able to say sentences like this.
That's true.
Yeah, you will.
And I'm going to sound like a super cool,
Yeah, we sound really cool. talking
super
about
cool
sentences.
kid who likes to read fantasy books.
Would you sign up to be a part of the Tri-Gal Trade Guild?
Oh, I love trading.
Whoa.
I do know that one.
You do know
The
that one.
Tri-Gal?
Tri-Gal Trade
So,
Guild. So
okay,
Tri-Gal.
3 gals trading
Well,
secrets.
That's what I'm asking. Do you think it's 3 women? Because if that's the
Tri-Gal.
case, I think we should sign
I was
up.
going to say, what if you had a female coworker named Sweetest Sufferance? Sweetest Sufferance is her name.
Oh, her name. Like sweet.
So she's going to have some tea, you know? I think Trigal, what was it?
Tri-Gal Trade Guild.
Trade Gal, and we're trading. I think we're trading secrets.
Yeah, we
or
can do that one.
recipes or other things.
Yeah.
What
other
about
things you could trade?
Sweetest Sufferance? Sweetest Sufferance is quite an interesting name.
Yeah.
I feel like
There's
something
crazy
bad's
names in
going to
this
happen
book.
to her.
I
but
feel like she's an assassin.
Ooh.
interesting.
That sounds like an assassin
Interesting.
name.
Ready for the next question?
Yeah.
How cool was it when Yadan Darig, a.k.a. The Watch, a.k.a. Prince of the Shake, held the first shore with a husked sword?
That's the coolest thing I ever
I
saw.
knew there were going to be swords.
That's the cool. I couldn't
Doesn't that
believe
sound
it.
awesome?
No, that's the coolest thing I ever saw.
Sounds so
It's
awesome.
pretty cool.
The shore, I'm assuming it's a beach.
Ooh,
The first
the
shore.
ocean.
There's
The
going to be a
first
water
shore.
battle.
Wow, the
Ooh,
way
I
the
don't
Earth
know.
was born.
Mac, you don't know anything about that, do you?
I know what a husked sword is.
Oh, I guess that's right.
but
That's
I don't
right.
know
Yeah.
the rest of it.
Yep.
I guess
heavy
you did say
sword.
husked sword.
Ooh,
Capital H.
Sounds like corn husk.
Ooh.
Oh, husked sword.
All their
It's a
swords
it's
are
a
made of
hollow
corn.
sword.
It's like it's a reverse corked bat in baseball. A hollow sword. It just shatters on impact. How am I going to defend the first shore?
This is corn.
Somebody called the watch. That's me.
I should have watched my sword.
Just get stabbed to the neck.
All
We have
right.
fun. We have
So
fun. We have a lot of
here's
fun.
another scenario.
Mm.
You've just heard a story with conflicting accounts.
Oh.
Do you believe a guy named Scabandari Bloodeye or a guy named Silchus Ruin?
Oh, see, I know all about that.
Scavendary blood eye.
Now,
believe Scavendary
blood eye? He's got a blood eye for a reason, you know?
Interesting.
Silchus Ruin, you don't believe him?
Well, he ruins things, but the first guy got his eye all bloody because he tells the truth, so people stabbed him in the eye. His enemies are sick of him spilling his secrets, so they stabbed him in the eye.
That's a cool guy to have in your posse. Blood
It
eye?
sounds like a cool guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blood eye?
Silchus Ruin. He's Silchus Ruin, bro.
I know, bro.
He's
I know, bro.
fucking. I'm not. I don't fuck with that.
No.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how flammable would you say olive oil is?
Oh, I know this. Flammable.
Nice.
I do know.
So I was looking for a number, but I guess you know.
okay.
You know
But I thought you said
Uh,
one to. I thought you said 1 to flammable.
1 to 10. How flammable?
He said
on a scale of 1 to flammable, how flammable would you say it is? Flammable. Okay. We can
I
move
don't know.
on. That's
7.
fine.
I think 7. Right? Or what do you think?
I would say, I know you're not supposed to cook with olive oil in a pan.
what?
You're not supposed to cook with olive oil in a pan.
I feel like I've done
Absolutely
that.
are.
That's its only use.
because it's heated. What was it? Heat point is not.
Yes, you're not supposed to do
Extrovert.
high heat cooking
Yes.
with olive oil
So
because it has a
of
low
my
smoke point.
cooking knowledge from that, I'm going to give it a 10.
Wow.
Is
Okay.
it flammable?
Yeah, I think it can
Oil?
start on
Does it
fire.
start
Because
on
if
fire?
because if it gets over, I think those like heat
That's why you
flashes
have
when
to
you're
do
That's
cooking
what a
is
canola oil.
grease
flammable.
fire is.
It
And
starts
that's
with-
why you
yeah.
can't put it out with water
Isn't a
because
grease
it's.
fire the grease from what you're cooking?
But grease is oil.
Grease
think
is
there's-
oil. We've said it once.
No.
We'll
I've
say
said it once.
1,000
I've
times.
said it a million
Greece
times.
is a
Is
country.
Grease is the musical.
The capital T, capital M.
Tell me more. How
you-
flammable is olive oil?
I think this could be the whole podcast. I think you guys read the book and then you just
And then we
tell
just
us.
ask you
we just
random
do
questions.
Yeah, and then we,
we do
write
bits.
our own
We do
book
shit.
based off of what we think this book is.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow, it's like it's like AI.
We are AI.
All right. I got 2 more questions for
Ooh,
you.
lovely.
1, 4 pale humanoids named Calm, Serenity,
Mm.
Equity, and Freedom ask you if it's okay for them to be in charge of the world. Do you let them be in charge of the world?
Now they're pale, so they don't get a lot of time outside the
Ooh,
house. You know
interesting.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Maybe they
So-
can't tan. Maybe they have a hard time tanning.
Oh,
They're Irish.
they're
like
named
me.
Calm, Serenity, Friendliness, and
Calm, serenity, equity, and freedom.
equestrian.
freedom.
Equestrian. One of them, 4 pale humanoids, but one of them is a horse.
Now,
One of them's a guy and a
No,
horse.
I think
I don't know if
Not a
I would
centaur,
have
a guy in a horse.
I don't know if I would have the power to let them be in charge of the world.
Okay, so I'm saying in this scenario, you do.
So
On a scale of 1 to flammable, would you let them be in charge of the world? Tell me more. You're in charge of the world.
I feel like
Grease.
their names make me say, "Oh yeah, I can trust them." But the fact that you're asking me the
Right.
question makes me go,
Right.
"Maybe I
They
can't."
do seem to be the embodiments of things. This is
Right.
one I don't know
Mhm.
about. They
yeah,
do seem
like
to be the
like your
embodiment.
verities and your regals,
Right. Right.
Which in that world it's accurate, and so I don't know if it's accurate in this world. But I'm gonna say because you're asking me, and I think that's suspicious. I'm
I
gonna
would say no. I would say no.
I would say, who else are you competing against?
Yeah, who's the
Oh, okay.
competition?
That's true.
Sure,
That's
yeah.
a good point. It's
What's their
you
pla-
or it's these 4
Is
people.
What's their
peace
platform?
and fun and
Right,
dog
right,
and like
right.
who's
What are their policies? is what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
asking.
yeah, yeah. I vote on a policy.
Yeah. You're a one vote issue.
I'm a
One issue voter.
One issue voter.
Is
That's
your name
me.
Calm? Yes or no?
Are you calm? Yes or no?
I don't care what your name is. Are you calm?
Yeah.
Last question. True or false?
Oh.
Ublala Pung is well hung.
yes,
true.
True.
I've always
is that
heard
just
that.
'cause
True,
it,
bro.
is that just because it rhymes?
No,
Yeah.
no.
No, I've heard that.
And-
We've heard that before.
We
Somebody
know.
so-
And we know. Oh, we,
We
know.
know.
We
I heard
know.
it from the horse's mouth.
Oh,
The horse is hung.
yeah, baby. Oh, is this?
The horse is hung?
Well,
Yeah,
if I
all
heard
hung
it-
people. Yeah, boo. Not all hung people know each other.
No, but see, the horse's mouth is like the source, right? And if the source
The
is
horse
the
is
person
the
that he
source.
just named,
The horse
is the
source.
then that would be the person in question, and that was the person that we said was well hung.
Horse is the
The horse is the source, baby.
Well, that's the title.
Now,
of
if
the
a
first
horse
episode.
asked me if it could be in charge of the world, I would say,
I would say
yes.
Is your name
Yeah.
Equestrian?
Well, you would say, do you want to be in charge of the world? He would say, nay. And then you'd have to
Or you'd
find.
say,
And then,
yeah.
and then he'd say Ublala Pung is well hung. And that would be
Ublala is
right from the
Ublala.
source.
See, that's the horse. Ublala is the horse. And the horse
is the source.
Is this going to be the amount of romantasy we're going to get in this book?
There's romance. There's romance.
There's
some romance.
romance.
That's
There
not the main
is?
thing, but it happens. It happens.
I like it when it's present, but not primary.
Mm.
A little pee
Characters have.
Not like Ublala Long. He does not have a little pee-pee.
No. Well,
No.
I'm ready for the smut.
What does PP stand in that context?
What was it? I already forgot.
Me too.
I said it and it instantly wiped it from my memory.
I also forgot. What did I say?
Like somebody had like a Men in Black device. They just got me with it right now.
Oh, present but not primary.
Yeah,
Oh,
PP.
yeah.
Present, not primary.
Pee-pee.
Because I know the source and
Yeah,
be
and it's
surprised
the
that it's a horse.
Hey,
I didn't even.
that's all I
Oh,
have.
no.
I can't wait to be right about every one of those. I'm going
Well,
to
that would
look
be pretty
back
crazy.
and I'm going to say, oh my God,
That
I
would be
was
pretty sweet.
right.
Yep. I'm excited.
Mhm.
Is everyone here
Yeah.
excited?
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited to meet this horse.
No, he's not.
That's the smut.
I've never, it never said he's a horse.
Ublala Lung is a horse and he fucks you.
There's bestiality in this book?
Sorry.
Yeah, he fucks you, the reader.
That's one of
You
the
get to-
moments you were talking about.
That's
You're
why the-
like,
that's
this
why the
gets
book-
real.
That's why the
this
books are
is
so
fucked.
thick. There's a big horse cock in the middle of one of them.
A real one.
You get to the chapter. You're like, Ublala Lung. And you hear, hello? And you open the door and he's there. Do you want to have sex with me? Nay. Yay.
I like what Danylo said that it's a pop-up.
It's a pop-up book. And it's a big horse cock.
Do I have to put this in me? And then the next page says yes. It's a
then
big
the
pop-up that
next
says
page-
yes.
the next
That's
page
why
is
you
the
guys like
horse's
this book
source.
so much. That's why
Oh
it's
my
a
God.
favorite
man.
among the
Oh my God.
book lovers.
Yep.
Wink,
That's
wink.
why people like this book.
Book lovers.
This is a horse cock in the middle of all of them. Holy shit.
Oh man! So I think this bodes extremely well for our podcast. Everyone, we're gonna call it there. If you had fun, please, shoot us a review or an email or anything. We're excited to read these books.
Oh, do we have a separate email?
Yeah, malazanmaniacs@gmail.com.
Yeah.
It'll be in the description.
And this first episode is also going on Hardcover Hooligans or no?
Yeah, we'll do a cross post. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're listening on Hardcover Hooligans, please, we're not going to keep doing it on that feed. Please listen to it on the other feed.
Yes, exactly.
There will be 2 different shows in your podcatcher of choice.
Yep, exactly. So thanks everyone for listening. We're going to call it right there. And next time we meet, we shall have read the first part of Gardens of the Moon, and we will officially induct our significant others into the Malazan world, which is very exciting. We should come up with a funny sign-off.
Stay Malazan, you maniacs.
That was really clear.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I think we're just going to keep that.